The story of humanity doesn't begin with cities, technology, or even the first humans. It begins millions of years earlier, in ancient forests, where our earliest ancestors lived in the trees. To understand who we are today, we have to travel back to a time before memory, before language, before anything recognizable as human. This is the story of how we became who we are. Around 6 to 8 million years ago, our lineage split from the ancestors of modern chimpanzees and bonobos. No one saw this moment, but fossils and genetics reveal the beginning. These early primates lived in dense forests, climbing and leaping through the branches, relying on strong hands, sharp eyesight, and social cooperation for survival. They weren't human, not even close. But inside their bodies were the first hints of traits that would one day shape us. Grasping thumbs, forward-facing eyes, curiosity, and social behavior. Even then, our ancestors were explorers and problem solvers, showing the earliest foundations of what would later define humanity. Over time, the climate changed. Forests thinned, grasslands spread, and some primates spent more time crossing open ground. This pushed evolution in a new direction. Even a slight ability to stand upright offered major advantages, seeing farther, carrying food or offspring, and exposing less of the body to the blazing sun. Bipedalism didn't appear overnight. It was gradual, but each small step opened the door to new possibilities. Walking on two legs, freed the hands, reshaped the skeleton, and set the stage for everything that followed. Around 4 million years ago came the australopithecines. These early hominins walked upright with confidence. Footprints preserved in places like Latoli show strides similar to our own. Yet they still had long arms for climbing and spent much of their time in trees. Their brains were small, 1/3 the size of modern humans, but they were the bridge between tree dwellers and groundwalkers. One species stands out: Australopithecus orfarensis, the species of the famous Lucy. She was only about 3.5 feet tall, but she walked upright, climbed efficiently, and survived in a world filled with predators and shifting climates. Her species lasted almost 1 million years longer than some later, more advanced humans. Australopithecines didn't craft complex tools, but likely used stones and sticks in simple ways. They lived in small groups, ate fruits, roots, leaves, and scavenged meat when they could. Communication was probably a mix of sounds and gestures, and survival skills passed from one generation to the next. Their brains may have been small, but they were clever and adaptable, smart enough to endure and evolve. As the environment shifted again, new pressures drove new developments. Droughts, unfamiliar predators, and unstable landscapes rewarded individuals who could think faster, cooperate better, and experiment with new solutions. Slowly, the brain began to grow. These changes created the spark that would lead to the first members of our genasimo around 2.4 million years ago. Homo habilis appeared, the handyman, named for the stone tools found beside their bones. The tools were simple but revolutionary. Sharp flakes for cutting meat and hammer stones to open bones for nutrient-rich marrow. For the first time, our ancestors were shaping nature rather than simply reacting to it. It was a spark of creativity that signaled the awakening of the human mind. Homo habilis lived between 2.4 and 1.4 million years ago. They were small and still limited in brain size, but incredibly resourceful. Their older tools allowed them to process plants, cut meat, and gain far more calories than ancestors before them. That extra nutrition fed the growing brain, and evolution responded. Around 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus appeared taller, stronger, and smarter. Built for life on the ground, with long legs and shorter arms. They traveled long distances and became the first humans to leave Africa, spreading into Asia, Europe, and beyond. They adapted to forests, deserts, grasslands, and cold northern climates. Their mastery of movement set the foundation for global exploration. Homo erectus also controlled fire. Fire provided warmth, protection, the ability to cook food, and unlocked nutrients by softening plants and meat. Cooked food accelerated brain expansion and changed social life. People gathered around fires, shared knowledge, and perhaps told the first stories. In many ways, the glow of a campfire became the first classroom in human history. They also developed more advanced Acheulean hand, axisymmetrical, sharp, and purpose. These tools demonstrated planning, design, and creativity. The leap from crude stone flakes to refined craftsmanship showed a mind that was evolving in intelligence and imagination. Human evolution branched into several species over time. Homo heidelbergensis likely gave rise to both Neanderthals and modern humans. These hominins hunted large animals, coordinated in groups, and may have shown the early beginnings of symbolic communication. The Neanderthals followed, powerful, intelligent, and well adapted to harsh Ice Age environments. They used advanced tools, made shelters, wore animal skins, and even buried their dead with care. Neanderthals were not brutish cavemen, they were resourceful and thoughtful. And when Homo sapiens eventually encountered them, we didn't only compete, we interbred. Today, most humans carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA. Finally, around 200,000 to 300,000 years ago, modern humans, Homo sapiens, merged in Africa. We had larger brains, more complex language, and the ability to form large, cooperative societies. Around 60,000 years ago, we began expanding outward into the Middle East, Europe, Asia, Australia, and eventually the Americas. Everywhere humans traveled, creativity followed. By 40,000 years ago, we were painting cave walls, carving figurines, inventing instruments, and creating symbols, rituals, and stories. This is when humanity, as we know it, truly took shape, not just surviving, but imagining, dreaming, and giving life meaning. Over time, every other human species disappeared. Homo erectus, Homo heidelbergensis, the Denisovans, and the Neanderthals. Only Homo sapiens remained. Why did we survive when others vanished? Perhaps it was creativity, cooperation, adaptability, or all of them combined. Our story began in the trees and led to a species capable of spreading across the entire planet. Human evolution isn't just a timeline. It is a story of survival, intelligence, adaptation, and imagination. From simple primates to toolmakers, to explorers, to artists, we are the result of millions of years of change. And the story of humanity is still being written today. Subscribe to Elemental History, like the video to support the channel. And don't forget to dive into another chapter of history right now.